Hi and welcome to PlayStation Plus One. Today we are playing Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown on the PlayStation 3. In terms of fighting games, it's quite known for being having a very extremely dedicated core audience who do nothing but play this game. Very similar to, I guess, every fighting game franchise has its core target audience, but for me, I feel like Virtua Fighter is my kind of game that I feel like, I feel very strongly. Every time a new Virtua Fighter will come out, I will be the first one to go out and buy it. I used to feel like that about Street Fighter, now not so much. Right. Okay, so I'm playing Kage, or Cage, doesn't matter how you want to pronounce it. The guy in blue, so we're just trying to defeat Lion or Leon again. The problem with these games, it just reminds me of back in the 90s, you didn't have, although there was CD-based consoles like the Sega Saturn and the PlayStation 1, especially in fighting games, they never really, the announcers never really said the names of the characters, so you never knew how to pronounce them. So, go back to Street Fighter and, people didn't know how to pronounce Ryu. People would pronounce it Ru or Ryu or whatever it was. So, thank God for technology kind of progressing and for the developers to actually say, this is how you say this character's name. Unfortunately, Virtua Fighter is not really there yet, because from what I can tell, I don't think they've ever, in the game itself, has actually kind of said Kage wins, and I don't want them to add that, but it'd be great to finally know how to pronounce some of these characters' names. Not that it's important, because there's far more important things in the world. Yeah, we know, but this is my point. For those who probably are big kind of Virtua Fighter fans, you can actually go and change the BGM of the games back to the original Virtua Fighter game. So you can play the BGM of Virtua Fighter 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So I think this is Virtua Fighter 2 music, and the only reason I know that is because we used to have Saturn. Probably one of 5 people who had a Saturn back then, and so I used to play Virtua Fighter 2 quite a lot. My brother used to play Daytona to death. Like, he'd sit there and play like the 40 or 50 lap race on the Sega Saturn, and he would be there for like an hour or more. It felt like more, but anyway, I digress. So I guess the basic principles of Virtua Fighter. There's only 3 buttons. There's punch, there's kick, and then there's guard. And to do all your attacks is various different variations and combinations of those buttons. Nice. So it's really as simple as that, and that's why I really like this series, is because I think it's very, very simple to get in and start playing. More so than, say, something like Street Fighter or Tekken. I guess Soul Calibur, to a degree, is also quite similar in terms of its simplicity of controls, but definitely more recently I feel like the Soul Calibur games have become needlessly complicated. And probably which is the reason why they've gone back to, say, games like Soul Calibur, remastering that for the iPads, and then remastering Soul Calibur 2 HD. I think it's HD Online, whatever it is. And I think that's because they know that some of these games now have gone a bit too far in terms of what they tried to do, and it's alienated some of the core audience. That's possibly the reason for that. But yeah, for me, I feel like Virtua Fighter has kind of kept that simplicity of, it's not added new buttons, it's not added special super moves, it's not, you look at something like Dead or Alive, 5 I guess we're on now, or Ultimate, whatever it is. that's just added, again, things that just weren't really needed. I think the game probably peaked at Dead or Alive 2, to be honest, which is why, again, they did a remastering of Dead or Alive 2 back in the original Xbox, because even back then they knew that game was probably the best it was ever going to get. My opinion again. Oh no, Jacky got us. And this game actually was like almost a launch game for the Xbox 360. I want to say. Maybe it wasn't a launch game per se, but it definitely came out back then. And this is actually, this variation, came out a couple of years ago. So for this, it kind of proves to me that this game is. Go, just want to win this. That this game stands the test of time, but also graphically, it's quite bold. The character's quite big, but it's still, in my opinion, I think it's still quite a beautiful looking fighting game. And obviously, fighting games can get away with being visually quite appealing because typically there's only, there's two main characters. That's the only thing you've got to focus on in terms of the graphical fidelity. So obviously, it still looks good. I think I would be more than happy if they just ran this at 1080p on current gen platforms, which is the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and even Wii U if you want to throw that in. I'd be more than happy if they want to stick it on Wii U as well. I just feel like this game just kind of stands where most fighting games really don't. And there are a couple of other fighting games that do stand the test of time. Obviously, Street Fighter games, pixel art games always look good. I guess that's kind of my thoughts on Virtua Fighter 5 thus far. So, thanks for watching, listening, and keep it +1.